welcome back to She Tried It. Before we get into today's video, I want to start by thanking y'all so much for 1,000 subscribers. I'm pre-filming this video, but I want to make sure I thank y'all for helping me reach this huge milestone. It's been a long time coming, and I honestly don't know what the next goal is. I just wanted to get 1,000 subscribers so I could get the community tab. So make sure you're subscribed and be sure to stay updated on my community tab. I plan on giving those of you on YouTube some behind the scenes peeks of what I'm making and letting y'all have input in my videos. Like today's video, for example, is my second installment of baking in my makes. And if you haven't watched my first video where I made a delicious cheesecake in my video in my vibe ribbed pullover, definitely go check that video out. Today, thanks to the lovely people who provided their input on my community tab, we'll be making an apple cobbler and I can't wait. But anyways, today's video is mainly about this Gertie Cardigan by Holly Woodward Designs. Let's quickly talk about this designer and pattern so we can hop into the recipe, and as usual, there will be timestamps below in the description box. For those who don't know, Holly and her gorgeous patterns aren't new to this channel at all. Holly actually holds a very special place in my crochet journey. When I first got into crochet, I soon learned about pattern testing and I really wanted to give it a try. The only issue was that I was struggling to find a designer willing to give me a chance. Then I stumbled on Holly's tester call for the Lilith cardigan. This was my first pattern test and honestly one of my most worn sweaters. I seriously love how snuggly that cardigan is in winter. The other cool thing is that was Holly's first tester call. With that being my first test, I did make the mistake of not owning a scale, so when Holly asked me how much yarn I used, I had no clue and I felt horrible. Fast forward to another test, I completed the Jude vest for Holly. I had my scale and I was ready to be the best tester in the group. The issue with that one was I suddenly forgot how to read and used two completely different colored yarns. Basically what I'm saying is not only is Holly a sweetheart, but she has shown me so much grace in all my mistakes I've made in completing her pattern test. She would still repost my picture like I did nothing wrong, and that did tons for my self-esteem. Today, I decided to repay her by purchasing the Gertie Cardigan pattern. Me a boiler tank, I told y'all that I would be on the hunt for patterns that use granny stitch. I even hinted that I knew which one I wanted to make, and this is it. This gorgeous pattern was released this year in April. She had a 2-month period where the pattern was free, but now it's available for purchase on her Lovecrafts, Ravelry, and Etsy shops. One modification I made was I used 5 yarn colors rather than 7 as her pattern description states. I mentioned previously that pairing colors is not my strong suit. Pairing 5 colors was my limit, and I'm extremely happy with how it turned out. As I do with most cardigans, I opted for making it a bit more cropped than the pattern suggested. I also did minor modifications on the hem and the sleeve cuffs. The sleeve cuff, I wanted to highlight the puff sleeve, so I decided not to add ribbing to the cuff. And for the hem, I personally prefer the look of knit ribbing rather than crochet ribbing, so I pulled out my knitting needles. The only con, and this is by no means a knock to Holly, but I have to warn y'all about the amount of ends you have to weave in on this sweater. It's almost a nightmare. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the time it takes you to make this sweater is the same or more amount of time that it takes you to weave in the ends. There might be a way around this, but if there is, I don't know about it. And just to be fully transparent, look at that. I didn't finish weaving in the ends. I have other projects to get to, I have a life to live, and I just figured I'll get to it when I get to it. Honestly, leave me a comment below letting me know if you knew I didn't weave in the ends or if you had no idea. I really think you can't tell unless I say something. This yarn is kind of new to this channel. I'm not sure how many of you remember that neon yellow inspiration to reality cardigan I made. For that make, I used Swish worsted yarn. Today's make is using Swish DK yarn, so the same yarn but a thinner weight. This yarn is from none other than Crochet, who is again sponsoring today's video. This yarn is 100% fine superwash merino wool, which means that you're able to machine wash it cold and tumble dry it low. As the name indicates, this is a DK weight yarn and it comes with 123 yards for every 50-gram ball. One of the features I love about the Crochet website is that if you're looking at the yarns on your desktop, these tiny windows pop up of the yarn. This was so helpful preparing the colors together that I wanted to include in this make. Starting from the bottom going up, the colors that I used were allspice, nutmeg heather, pinecone heather, honey, and squirrel heather. I absolutely love how these colors pair together. Somehow, even though I used 5 colors rather than 7 as the pattern suggested, I still managed to massively overestimate the amount of yarn I needed. I still can't figure out how I did that. But I will be posting my leftovers on my Mercari shop in the description box below. The yarn and the designer and the pattern, so let's hop into the recipe. For those who don't know, Holly is a vegan, and since this video is about her pattern, it seemed a bit disrespectful to come on here baking some chicken. So today we're baking a vegan apple cobbler. I've never made this recipe before, so we'll be experimenting together. A fun fact about me is that while I'm not currently vegan, I would love to become vegan one day. Also, some of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube are from vegan creators. Today is from one of my favorites named Plantable Kiki. I'll leave a link to her website and YouTube channel in the description box below. Like I mentioned, y'all decided what we would be baking through the community tab. The options were apple cobbler, apple crisp, pumpkin pie bites, or blueberry lemon biscuits. I was happy with any of them being winners. Luckily, the recipe y'all chose couldn't be easier, so let's get started. To get started, I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I then filled the pie dish with 2 cans of apple pie filling and added a bit of cinnamon and apple pie spice on top. In a bowl, I mixed 1 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I also added a few teaspoons of monk fruit, but the recipe didn't call for that. I then mixed that up with 3/4 cups of almond milk until I got a thick batter. The recipe originally calls for water, but I thought the almond milk would give it a bit of a richer flavor. I then filled the pie dish, spooned the batter on top, and topped it with a bit of cinnamon. I placed it in the oven for 15 minutes. Once the cobbler was done, I brushed the top with some of the apple pie filling to glaze it, and then I let it cool for a bit. That's all for today. Feel free to pick up a pattern from Holly and treat yourself to this fun vegan treat, or any of the amazing recipes on the Plantable Kiki website. Thank you so much to Holly for how positively you've impacted my crochet journey, and thank you to Crochet for sponsoring today's video. Happy early Thanksgiving, guys. See you on my next video. Bye. Lunch yet, so I'm just tasting this, but let's see how it tastes. Okay. Let's see. It smells amazing. It did start bubbling over, so I suggest cooking it on top of a cookie sheet. It's very smoky. That's good. That's really good. You did it again, Kiki. This will go great with some banana ice cream. Girl, let me eat some lunch. I can't wait till the next baking of my bakes.